Welcome back to Dum Dums and Dragons, where improvisers who've never roleplayed before journey into the world of Dungeons and Dragons. I am the Grand Wizard Bukkake, your host. Having completed their quest in Winchester, our heroes are packing up and hitting the road once more. But will their pasts finally catch up with them? Where could they possibly go next? Will their next friend hate Quinny like so many before? Find out next on Dum Dums and Dragons! Before our session began, our dungeon master pulled aside Quinny to have a private conversation while all of the other players had left the room or were listening to music on an iPod while supervising audio levels. So now you get to hear what only those two shared before the journey truly began.
So after your adventures in Winchester, you're all feeling pretty good, and you all stop off at a tavern on the road on the way back to Phandelver. Everyone's enjoying, celebrating. Something about Mudbutt always puts you guys in a bit of a party mood, which is why, your friends are off, Butthole's off entertaining people. Alan's made a couple of friends with new humans who she's trying to learn things from. Goblin Jr. is very happily ensconced in a corner with his bowl full of mead, which is why you're particularly surprised, Quinny, when you feel a tap on your shoulder. You turn around to see sort of a tall, gaunt woman, looks a little worse for the wear, who you don't recognize, who says, "Quinny Brownbottom."
It's Brown Barrow.
Don't care, Quinny.
Who are you?
She kind of like rolls her eyes and says, "Listen, you don't know me, and obviously I don't know you, but we share friends in common." And she rolls up her sleeve, and she has the same tattoo that you have on your back. She says, "I trust you understand what this means, yes?"
Yeah.
Well, the unseen hand does not forget favors owed or favors due. I'm paying off mine by talking to you. She pulls the case out and kind of puts it by your feet and says, The council has finally decided to call in your favor. It would seem you have a traveling companion, a cleric, Bobbert Tingler, I believe he goes by Butthole Farch now.
Bobbert?
I didn't name him.
His name is Oh, man, whoever you are, thank you so much.
She opens the bag, takes out a knife, and puts it down in front of you. I understand you have other traveling companions. I don't care particularly what happens to them, but you are to bring the cleric back. Return him to the people seeking him. You'll find instructions inside the bag. It's to be done immediately. Otherwise, and then she rolls up her other sleeve, and you know she's missing a hand, and she says, "We both know what happens when you disappoint the unseen hand." She leaves the bag and exits.
I collect the bag and kind of squirrel it away and under the folds of my cloak.
Cool. Obviously, this is of great concern to you. It's a favor from your prison days, which, as you know, can...
Prison favors, man.
They carry a pretty high price.
Yeah.
So you find yourself in a bit of a quandary. So the question then to you, Quinny, is do you attempt to follow the instructions on the sheet and capture Butthole, or do you choose to run?
I take a look at the sheet. Is there anything that I would notice besides the instructions written on here or anything like that?
It seems to be very clear that the fate of the companions doesn't affect the unseen hand whatsoever, but that Butthole is to be brought to, and they've got very specific instructions of kind of a drop-off point.
Right.
But he's not to know that he's being taken there, and what befalls him after that is not your concern.
Okay. Man. No, nobody tells me what to do.
Great. So in thinking about what you can do, you know that the unseen hand has eyes everywhere. You know you've encountered people with that same sigil near Phandelver. You're afraid that Phandelver might not be covered. But you do know one person who might be able to get you and your friends to safety, because you think it might be worth going underground, disappearing for a bit. So you decide to write a letter to your old pal, not Peter Baelish, one of the greatest smugglers you've ever met, who you knew just before your prison days.
I haven't thought of Not Pete in a while.
And so you send a message to Not Pete to meet you in the one place that you know of that's close enough that a bunch of people can disappear very easily. And that city, of course, is where your adventure began in the first place, city of Neverwinter. So you tell Not Pete to meet you there, and your next step will be having to convince your companions that Neverwinter should be your next port of call.
Okay.
It was at this point the rest of the group was summoned to begin the true D&D session proper.
So after Winchester, you all started back on your way home. But along the way, you got a little bit tired. You're ready to celebrate. So you all stopped in at a tavern. So Quinny has been kind of off in the corner, lost in thought. Butthole, you've been entertaining the crowds. And Alan,
fart tricks.
and Alan, you've made a couple of new human friends who you are currently chatting up about their experiences as humans. Most people would consider both of them really boring humans. But for Alan, they're pretty exciting.
Yeah, I'm all
One
in.
of them bakes bread.
What? Yeah,
But
we're best friends.
You do notice, though, that Quinny seems to be rather lost in thought, off in a corner.
Yeah, I'm probably just sitting down at a table that like no one else is at, and I'm just shuffling my cards around. I'm just kind of keeping my hands busy.
I very apologetically excuse myself from my new friends. Promise I'll be back. Please do not go anywhere. I will be right back. Just, dear God, stay. And I go over to the corner where Quinny's in and kind of pull up a chair beside him and say, hey, dude, what's up?
Nothing, just kind of thinking about, where we go from here. I was thinking maybe we should go back to Neverwinter,
Isn't Neverwinter like burnt down?
No, that's Winchester.
No,
that's
no.
the city we just left.
Wasn't there? Didn't Neverwinter?
Are you thinking of Thunder Tree?
Maybe it was Thunder Tree.
We've not left many civilizations in a state of good repair, but Neverwinter is one of the good ones. and that it's pretty
Neverwinter
resilient.
is where you began your adventure.
Yeah.
The
way
big
back in
city.
the day.
Okay, all right, so it's still good. Hey, sure.
I mean, how much time
I'm
did you
up
spend
for
in
it.
Neverwinter? Kind of showed up and then just left, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Alan, as I recall, you spent a night, it was your first day in human civilization. You spent a night in a temple till
That's true.
Carmine Falstaff found you.
That's true. They were the first people who gave me shelter. So
Look, you want to learn
I'm
about
happy.
people, check out Neverwinter. We should go there.
On the other side of the
Happy
room,
to do it.
I'm now shifting from like close-up magic tricks with thaumaturgy to like subtly weaving in more and more of a sermon about what Moonhammer is, because I'm pretty determined if I get these guys loaded enough and do enough cool tricks, I'm going to have like a whole bunch of converts.
Roll me a persuasion check.
That would be a grand total of 6.
So
I'm blowing farts directly into their face. I'm like, isn't it great? They smell horrible.
what you can't currently know, but what the future and the narrator can know, is that by the end of the night, you've made several hard converts. Unfortunately, they were so shit-faced that when they wake up, they remember that they believe in something and that they smell bad, but they can't remember what it was.
And do you know what? Moonhammer takes that as a win. Subconscious converts still count.
Subconverts?
Yeah.
That is the term.
Yes, great.
So Quinny, why do you want to go? It seems pretty sudden.
Well, I mean, we've been doing a lot of kind of small town or ghost town stuff recently, and honestly, I feel kind of out of my element. I like big cities. I've got a lot of friends in Neverwinter. I don't know. I'm a little homesick.
Oh.
We can definitely find work there, and old holier butthole over here can spread the good word of Moonhammer in a big city too.
Yeah, you'd probably be pretty happy about that.
There's libraries. Have you been to a library outside of your temple?
Not outside of the temple at Neverwinter.
Man, you guys see the libraries at Neverwinter. I mean, I've never been, but apparently they're pretty big.
Okay, good call. Learn new spells. Let's do it.
Perfect.
So I look over at the other two and I'm like, hey guys, these guys just pointed it out. Never thought about it. If Moonhammer's a goddess, I bet she's got boobs. Isn't that cool? How many think she's got? I'm betting 3. What's the over-under on boobs on a goddess?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
I'm ignoring you.
Oh, okay. What about you,
I
Alan?
say that also, by the way. I say the words, I'm ignoring you.
And then I lean over to the crowd of sub-converts and I'm like, hey, it's a bit we have. We're best friends.
Yeah, they're pretty convinced this is a video that you're best friends.
So I'm like, oh, okay, guys. It looks like, I don't know for sure, but it looks like my friends have come to a decision over at a table. So I'll be back in a minute. And then I thaumaturgically create like 2 like glowing butts on the table that just keep farting new smells to keep my
Jesus
sub-converts
Christ.
amused. And I come over and I'm like, what's up, dudes?
We're thinking we'll head to Neverwinter. Probably tomorrow morning we'll start out.
Oh, yeah, I'm so on board for that. Honestly, that last letter I got from Fiddlesworth, it sounded like he was doing good, but then there was like a blood spray on it, and
That's
that
right.
makes me uncomfortable.
Completely forgot about Fiddlesworth. We should definitely check in with him
If
too.
we get there fast enough, I can heal him.
Let's get there as fast as we can.
All right.
Great. So, having come to a decision very quickly and with great fervor, you decide that as fun as the night's revels have been, perhaps it's time to pack it up. So you all pay up your tabs and head up to your rooms to get a good night's rest before you continue on your way. Quinny, As you get up from your seat, you notice there's a bag beside you. Upon closer inspection, you realize this is in fact a bag of holding and seems to have several items inside. There seems to be a suit, sort of almost like a skin-tight suit that looks like it could be used for acrobatics of some sort.
Okay.
You notice, though, that even though it's got your name pinned to it, it's far too large for you, but still far too small for Butthole. Perhaps Alan-sized. You'll also notice there is a sort of a small pouch inside which are some beans. Looks pretty useless to you, but you do know a guy who likes beans.
Oh, yeah.
As well as a tankard that looks like it's for ale, but doesn't look too impressive otherwise.
Oh, all right. I'm going to take these items up to bed with me, and
Cool.
I'll think about it, and I'll see who gets what in the morning.
Okay, great. After a good night's sleep, for most of you, you arise in the morning and start making your way back to Neverwinter. So, if you recall, Neverwinter is a city that's up the coast from Phandelver. It's where you started your adventure. So, you're able to take a fairly well-fortified road. As was the case traveling to Winchester, you see adventurers of all sort of shapes and sizes along the road, as well as just kind of peasants going to and from their daily business. It is, as always, a gently humbling reminder that although you've had some success, you fought some giant demon dwarf guys, you've decimated armies of the undead, there are still some pretty big fucking scary people out there, and you're happy to stay out of their way. So Neverwinter is one of the oldest cities in the Forgotten Realms, in this part of the Forgotten Realms, although it has seen harder times over the past few years. About 150 years ago, there was a massive cataclysm that split a part of the town as the same volcano which destroyed Thunder Tree destroyed a large swath of Neverwinter. However, in recent years, the city's been on a bit of an uptick. Lord Neverember, who was kicked out of Waterdeep, has taken over as Lord Protector, and sort of the self-styled mini-monarch of Neverwinter. And
And I'm like, hey, Alan, I got like a history question for you, just as I'm thinking about the history of this town. So Lord Neverember, was that his name before he ruled Neverwinter, or like? So did the Neverwinter come first, or the Neverember come first? Because if he named it after himself, simultaneously not cool, and I like this guy.
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, Neverwinter. So the lake nearby doesn't freeze, so it's like never frozen, never winter. Because of the volcano, there's like Neverember.
I bet he's real
Maybe
bad
it's
at
something
starting
to do
fires.
with the volcano. Something to do with that, I'm sure.
Or his fire never goes out. I bet he has depthless passion. Okay, ready to go.
you return to your internal monologue about the history of Neverwinter.
Return to silently traveling on this road for hours.
So all of you have both excitement and a little bit of trepidation about returning to Neverwinter, since the last time you were here, you did all owe Carmine a favor and were kind of under his thumb. But now you're returning as free people, which is pretty exciting.
As heroes.
I want to see Fiddlesworth.
Do you want to do anything while you're traveling? You're just going to travel in silence?
I hand them some items that I found in this bag of holding. Hey, Ellen, just looked like it would fit you, and I toss her this cloak suit thing.
Ooh, sweet cloak.
Yeah, does that look good? Because it's way too big for me, and I've already got one. So
Yeah, where'd you get this?
I just kind of took it.
Yeah, stop asking questions like
I
that.
would appreciate that,
Okay.
Alan. Really.
All right.
I like you, and I want you to like me, but we can't just. You can't keep prying into my life like this, Alan.
No. Okay, I figure at this point it's never going to return to its rightful owner, so I should just appreciate it.
You're the rightful owner.
I look at those two, and I'm like the studio audience of this argument, where I'm just like adding in like timely laughs, and I'm like, "Ooh, you go, Queenie."
Alan, you also, as you take it into your hands, have just the briefest flash of guilt, remembering the various ingredients you stole from the lion shield.
Those herbs.
Yeah, they haunt you. They're your telltale heart. But you accept the cloak gratefully.
And Butthole, I got something for you too.
Ooh.
Butthole,
And then I do
swear
like
to God.
I do like a big sitcom entrance, so I'm like, "Are you talking about me?" And then
There's like applause and excitement.
it comes out of the woods. I'm using thaumaturgy.
Oh my God. I reach into the bag of holding and I just pull my middle finger and I flip off Butthole.
And then I do like a slow clap and like a nod of appreciation. Like I'm like, "Well played, sir."
Yeah. And then I give him a tankard and a bag of beans as well. So these are actually for you.
Oh, cool. And I like look at the tankard and I'm like, "No, that's nice."
Oh, here. Tap it. I tested this out up in my room. It's kind of weird.
So I tap the tankard.
So when you tap the tankard on the ground, it fills with ale.
Ooh. Quinny! And then I scoop him up in like a big bear hug.
Like, no.
And then I drink half the drink.
Stop.
And then I pour the other half of the drink into his mouth.
Oh,
Goblin Jr. looks disappointed until he starts coughing, and then he gets the ale that you coughed up.
Yeah, we're very clean. Leave the road untouched.
Yep.
And then I look at the bag of beans. I'm like, these are neat. And then I eat one. And Tom winces.
What do you think he would do with that? Line them up?
Ryan, tell me what happens with those beans.
Okay, so it's a wondrous item rare. If we dump the whole bag out, it explodes. If you remove a bean and plant it in sand or dirt and then water it, it produces an effect. 1 minute later, the DM rolls D100 for the result. It can include fruit or potions, monsters, water, beer, tea, or oil, like a geyser, or items of risk reward.
Say anything about eating them?
Listen, Butthole doesn't know this. That's just what I know because I got a card. Butthole ate a bean.
I thought they were explicitly for eating the whole time. I didn't even know he wasn't supposed to eat them.
Tom, head and hands.
I spent literally an hour and 20 minutes looking through every magic item in the DM's guide to find the one you could fuck up the least.
How many beans are in the bag?
I think it should say on the card. I think you get 10.
So it's like an owl bear just burst out of his chest a day later or
Well, I
something?
mean, fuckity fuck. I'm going to have a little think now, aren't I?
So,
Butthole, you've eaten a lot of beans in your travels, particularly back in your mercenary days. This one doesn't seem... It's kind of dry. It doesn't seem too spectacular. Just kind of sitting in your belly. You're a little disappointed by the result. But given that you are somewhat magically attuned, you do get the sense that like maybe there's something up with these beans, and maybe talking to someone who's magically inclined about them might be a good idea at some point.
so it doesn't taste good. Like, I don't want to just eat the other
No,
nine.
you don't. I mean, it's like eating a dry bean. Like if you went to like Bulk Barn and got like a bag of dry beans and you just ate one.
Yeah, no, that's no good. They might be like maybe a stew.
You feel any different, Butthole?
Feels one bean heavier.
Yeah, I feel like I'm very, very slightly fuller. Like just so slight. Like you take the first bite of a meal, but then you stop eating.
Right.
It's like half of that. Like a single bean.
That sounds disappointing.
Alan, what are these beans? I ate one first, which seems like a poor choice.
You roll me an
Can I do an
Arcana check?
Arcana?
Yeah.
23 total.
Given your sort of knowledge of herbs and other things, there are certainly lots of tales from various cultural groups about magic beans. And you get the sense that given the wondrous nature of your cloak, the refilling tankard, that it stands to reason that someone who's carrying around such wondrous items wouldn't be carrying regular beans, but wondrous beans.
Right.
So your guess is that the beans are likely magical in nature, and you're not sure what kind of effect they would have when planted, but probably something crazy, and you recommend he doesn't spill them out because they might explode.
But I'm just saying, maybe we should be a bit careful with these beans, just given that they came with other magical items, and we're just maybe not eat them.
So
Maybe be careful.
I had a handful of 5 beans that I was about to put in my mouth, and then I'm like, oh, and I put them back in a bag, and I look at the bag, and I like tap it, and I'm like, you're going someplace special, and then I put it in my backpack. And I look at Goblin Jr., and I'm like, listen, I wanted to give you one, but Alan says no. And he's like, snarf, snarf. And I'm like, I know, Alan's really tough. He just snarf. And I'm like, one day you're going to grow up, and you're going to be able to eat all the magical items you want. But not yet. You're not big enough. And he's like, snarf, snarf. And then I pet him on the head, and he's like, okay, we just go.
How old do you think Goblin Jr. is, by the way? I know the answer to this. I just want to know what you think.
What, like butthole?
Yeah.
He thinks he's like 2.
He's right.
Good guess.
Yes, that makes him like 15 and like wolf years, so he's like not even really able to drink, but Butthole's sort of like one of those enabling uncles where he's like, I'd rather you do it with me than with somebody else. So that's why they drink together in pubs all the time.
Well, to be fair, he was also raised by goblins, so like ale is the least worst thing he's had to
Yeah,
drink.
so he's like a weird, screwed up, like abused wolf thing. And that's why it's so wonderful that he's so lovely. Like, some people rise above it, and that's definitely him.
I'm glad we're really fleshing Goblin Jr. out, guys. I'm really glad.
This is all just a long pitch for my upcoming novel that you can get as an ebook on Amazon called The Goblin Jr. Chronicles. It's like a tie-in story.
Oh, it's probably better than the source material.
Great. Okay, so aside from eating a bean, you have a fairly uneventful trip. So you'll be coming up on the south side of Neverwinter. Neverwinter, seen from the sky, almost looks like an eye. So it's sort of an oval-ish shaped city. There are 4 major entrances to it. You're going to be coming in from the southwest. You're going to be coming in from the southwest.
Got it.
So you'll be coming into the Protector's Enclave, which is kind of one of the nicer parts of town. It's near where the Hall of Justice is, and some of the nicer buildings. The Upside Down Hat, which was Carmine Falstaff's tavern, is over in the...
Listen, I don't even care where it is. I want to go.
So the Upside Down Hat Tavern, you all remember, is over in the Chasm District, which is where the great sort of rent in the earth was. Lord Neverember has managed to stop that up since then, so commerce is returning to that area. You get the sense that Carmine's Bar was probably one of the newer things that had been built there, and possibly a lot of the reclaimed wood he used was from broken buildings from the surrounding area.
Right, okay.
So in the district you're in right now, the Protector's Enclave, there are a number of kind of notable areas. There's the Hall of Justice, which is sort of the large hall of justice in the area. It's where people stand trial. It's also where people are kept in jail. There's the Moonstone, which is kind of an upscale restaurant that isn't the kind of place, Alan, that you would have even necessarily heard of. You might know of it, but this is such like a kind of a fancy upscale thing that it wouldn't even really register for you.
Right.
Butthole, it's the kind of place that you would hate, so you don't really go there. But Quinny, you've definitely heard of it.
I used to bust tables there, steal the silverware.
There you go. You know that there's an air of enchantment around the place, and yeah. Anyway, it's sort of the upscale place. Neverwinter used to have 3 major bridges connecting it. It's bisected. The entire town's bisected by a river. 2 of the bridges were destroyed in the cataclysms, so the Dragon Bridge and the Dolphin Bridge are gone, but the Wyvern Bridge is still there, and it's beautifully sculpted. It's a true architectural masterpiece, and it's a shame the others were destroyed. Castle Never was destroyed in the disaster as well. It's a little bit to the north.
Well, I mean, that sort of makes sense with the name, though. Castle Never.
True.
Yeah.
It wasn't Castle Forever.
Nor was it Castle,
It was Castle Sometimes.
built to survive an earthquake. Yeah.
Oh, Castle Sometimes. I think we would like to pitch
Castle
a new
Occasional?
name. Yeah.
There's the Driftwood Tavern, which is more your kind of jam butthole. It's got a reputation as kind of a warm, comfortable tavern in town. There's the Beached Leviathan, which is a tavern in an old upended ship.
Oh, nice.
To the north is the Black Lake District, still kind of swanky, but a little bit more working class. In the east end of town, there's the Fallen Tower Pub, which is a notorious pub in the area. It was built in an old wizard's tower and is known for its various magical comings and goings. It's kind of a fun place to hang. As well as the Cloak Tower, which is named for a magical group that used to live in town. Alan, you've definitely heard about these guys. The tower disappeared for a number of years before magically reappearing in Neverwinter. It has a reputation as a bit of a mysterious landmark. And then, of course, there's the Upside Down Tavern in the Chasm District, which is in the southeast corner. So you've just arrived in town. It's the afternoon. It's a busy day. A lot of commerce coming in and out of Neverwinter. Where do you want to go?
Where do you guys want to go? I've got some personal business to attend to. I just want to know where to meet you later.
I want to go. I need to go to a store and get a gift, and then I need to go back to Carmine Falstaff's Upside Down Hat Place, and I need to go see Fiddlesworth and give him a present because I've been on the road for too long and I missed him.
I want to check out this Cloak Tower.
The big question that every DM loves asking their players, are you going to split the party or are you going to go about your business together?
I want to do my business privately. I want to split off from those 2 at least. I don't know if we want to go like a 3-way split, but
Alan, do you want to go?
I want to go
company.
solo.
Alan and I will go visit
Yeah.
Carmine and Fiddlesworth, and then we'll go over to the Cloak and Dagger.
Cloak Tower.
Close enough.
It's our new Gundren.
The new magic bar.
Okay, great.
Do you know what? I'm like, Alan, do we have anything that would work as a present on us? We got to have something between the 2 of us that I could get Fiddlesworth.
Let's see. I got that toe key schematic thing.
Well, I mean, if you don't want it, let's.
No, I want it.
Maybe write a copy.
Yeah, why don't we write a copy? We can do that.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm like, Alan, do you want to do it or should I do it?
I'll do it.
Okay, perfect. So she does that, and I teach Goblin Jr. some new like fart commands that I'll reveal later. I go into an alley, and I'm like teaching tricks, and I'm going to show the rest of the group when I come up with what they are later. Tom is again shaking his head.
And
I'm still making room for that bean to come out.
I'm just so afraid that the trick is going to be like, look, I taught Goblin Jr. to eat bees.
Listen, I don't have bees. So I can teach him that in theory, but I don't know how it's going to work out.
It's an academic lecture.
Yeah, at this point, it's purely theoretical.
Gotcha.
Like I'm doing like a TED talk to Goblin Jr. about tricks I could teach him.
Awesome.
Yeah, you can
Don't be
leave a dog
foolish,
to
Tom.
hide,
The
but you
fart
can't make
cleric
a
who
bee.
worships a butt god is only going to teach his pet wolf named after a goblin regular tricks.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, that's on me. When will
Sick
I
of your
learn?
flights of fancy.
All right, so we're doing that, and then whenever the copy's ready, we'll go over.
Okay, great. So you're copying that out. All right, Quinny, what are you doing?
I think I know the city of Neverwinter fairly well.
Okay.
I do have an ability called Criminal Contact, which reads, I know someone who can connect me with other criminals. And so I think I want to kind of put my feelers out and find out where my old friend, not Peter Baelish, might be hanging around.
Who's your criminal contact in Neverwinter?
One of my good friends from back in my prison days. We call him One-Eyed Stink.
Oh, the New Hampshire Stinks, right?
Yeah, old One-Eyed Stink.
Great. Where does One-Eyed Stink hang out in Neverwinter?
I know for sure he's going to be by the Wyvern Bridge because he runs a pretty good pickpocket game, and with all the foot traffic going across one bridge now, I know that's where he's most likely going to be with all those people kind of bunched together.
Okay, excellent. So you sort of stealthily make your way up towards the Wyvern Bridge, and sure enough, you see there's definitely large groups around. Roll me an investigation check.
Investigation? Okay. 17.
As you're making your way up, you're listening to the crowd and everything else. You notice there's sort of a lot of commotion. It seems that there are a lot of people like scrubbing the bridge and really trying to like clean it up. There's people, like climbing the statue and using rags and stuff to wipe it down. What you hear from the conversation from those people is that it seems that there are some investors in town, and Lord Neverember is really, really anxious about it and has everyone on sort of their best behavior. Largely because they're big investors from Waterdeep, which is a much larger city nearby that Neverember used to be a lord of. And it seems that there's a big campaign in town right now to encourage investment back into Neverwinter now that it's kind of back on its feet, now that the chasm's been plugged up. And he's hoping that with their investment, they might be able to rebuild the Dolphin Bridge and the Dragon Bridge so everyone's on their best behavior.
So just kind of trying to like clean up the town?
Clean up the town, but specifically beautify the bridge district so that it looks like, oh, look, like everything was fine. It just got a little damaged. It's still good. It's still good.
Why does Lord Neverember remind me of the mayor from RoboCop?
You caught me. This entire campaign is just RoboCop. Punchline is you just need to fire the guy. So just remember that for later. Just say you're fired and then like, bitches out. Anyway.
Did you just say bitches out?
The correct line, sir, is bitches leave.
Yeah,
okay, well,
bitches out. What a... It's a quote with 2 words and you got one wrong.
Well, because you knew that it was bitches leave, you're the DM now.
As they say, the force is yours now.
That's right.
Well, good luck, Tyler.
God bless us. Most of us.
All right, well, let's see. A portal opens. Ed 260 comes out. Sorry, carry on.
So you're able to pick out your old pals with Stink Eye.
Oh, One-Eyed Stink.
One-Eyed Stink. Dear God. You're able to identify old One-Eyed Stink pretty easily, both from his one eye and from his stink. Well, you make your way towards him. How do you approach him?
I think I kind of like zero in on him. I would think if he's working, so to speak, he's probably scanning the crowd, and so when we lock eyes, give sort of like a subtle nod kind of thing, and hope to perhaps meet in a more discreet location so that 2 ne'er-do-wells can have a conversation.
Sure. He winks with his one good eye, and then
Just blinks then.
yeah.
Or you can tell me he opens and closes his eye socket. I don't know. But
I mean, you're taking that. You're taking that becoming the DM thing to heart,
I yell across like, I don't know what that means. One-Eyed Stink. Are you blinking at me?
So he reaches up, he keeps his good eye open, and he uses both hands to blink his socket eye at you repeatedly.
Oh, I gotcha. And I wink back.
He's going to give you so much help. So he lifts the purse that he was in the process of stealing when this happened, and he kind of like gestures off to the left. Seems like off near the Dragon Bridge there were sort of a number of benches and sort of various places you could sit and have a discreet conversation.
Okay, cool. Hey, good to see you again, Stink.
Oh yeah, you really had to do the wink gag again? Really? We're going down that road again?
I couldn't help myself. I'm sorry.
Old cell block Quinny. Yep. Same as ever.
Hey, what's going on with all the spit polish going on the bridge?
Oh, yeah. The big boss man's looking to get some money, hoping to rebuild the other 2 bridges, which would be terrible for business.
Boss man, you say? Are you going on the straight and narrow, working for the city of Neverwinter?
No, okay, sometimes. Honestly, it's like thieving, just the same. Honestly, their corruption goes high here. Everyone from me, City Watch, the judges, I've heard lots of things, and I gotta tell you, there's some. It's a land of opportunity here right now.
Lucrative.
It is.
Hey, speaking of which, have you seen Not Peter Baelish around town?
Not Peter Baelish.
Yeah.
Oh, not Pete.
Not Pete.
Yeah. Not Pete just got into town. Haven't seen him in quite a long time, but
He's in town now?
Yeah. Arrived just a couple days ago. We had a couple drinks at the old at the Leviathan. The Beach Leviathan. You been to that bar?
I know the Beach Leviathan.
Oh yeah. We had some good times there. Fleeced a couple of people. I gotta tell you, Not Pete, still the best damn dice player I've ever seen.
Oh, okay.
With my one eye. You piece of shit.
Yeah, well, you brought that one up, okay?
Yeah. All right. Fine.
All right. Hey, thanks a lot. We should get a drink sometime.
Yeah, that sounds good. But I assume you're buying since I helped out.
Yeah, fair enough. That kind of pissed me off a little bit. So as I get up to leave, I use both fingers to kind of do like the ICU kind of movement, and I just say, "See you around, One Eye."
He holds up a coin he pilfered from you, puts it in his socket, blinks it, and says, "See you around, Quinny."
And I walk away, and I'm like, "That's so fucking cool." God damn. One-eyed stink.
Meanwhile, what you don't see is he then pulls it out and is blinking repeatedly. His socket eye being ow, why do I keep doing this? Oh, I hope he thinks I'm cool. Cool. So you guys have successfully transcribed you're doing the Toki schematic from
We're cutting
Uncle
the
Jim
butthole
Jim.
From
and
Uncle
Alan.
Jim Jim,
Yes,
yeah.
for our listeners.
Yes. So you successfully copied that out. What do you do?
All right, so we're going to go to the upside down top hat to see what's up.
Great. So as you walk into the Chasm District, you notice that since you were last here, it seems to have experienced a decent amount of growth. There seem to be a lot of sort of new storefronts trying to open. Yeah, so a number of repurposed buildings. But it's interesting. The biggest shift you notice is that as opposed to last time when you were still kind of lost in the world, particularly Alan, having just come out of the temple and just being the big city for the first time, you find you're both standing a bit taller. This is particularly you, Alan. I mean, Butthole, you'd been in cities as a mercenary, but you both feel a little bit more grounded. You've seen some action. You've had some experiences.
I met some humans.
Met some humans. Met some dwarves. Saw them naked. It was good.
Yeah.
I'm like, I brought things back from the dead. What the fuck does this town got? Hello.
You walk up to the upside down hat, and you notice that the hat, the big wooden hat that was over the door, has been cleaved in two, and is one part still nailed up, but the other part is by the door. The door seems to be off its hinges.
Well, we know what to do here. And I kick the other half of the door open, and I'm like, what's up, motherfuckers?
Inside, you.
That was not the sound of a creaky door opening. It was Laura's dismay.
That could literally be the theme song to this show. What's up, motherfuckers? So the half door flies in, and as it does, you see that the previously hipster charm of the upside down hat has been fairly roughed up. The tables seem to be in all manner of disarray. It seems like there was quite a disturbance that happened in here. But directly in front of you, there are two thugs just kind of looting through, who seem to be kind of wrapped in brown rags, and they both stop, look up at you, go, "Oh shit."
And I look at them and I go, all right, boys. And I unlimber Moonlight Bringer, and I unlimber my shield, and Goblin Jr.'s next to me, and Alan's over my shoulder. I'm like, I think you two should take a knee.
Roll for initiative.
Oh, man, I went to the wrong place. I'm missing out on cool fights.
Yeah, remember when the DM was like, "Hey, you want to split the party?"
My initiative is a 7.
4.
We are so fucking fast. In that I'm talking when we should have been fighting.
The thug who yelled, "Oh shit," sort of shakes his arm, and out of his sleeve drops a particularly nasty. It was one of those things that used to come as an accessory with the Ninja Turtle action figures all the time. It's basically if Brass Knuckles, it's like a trench spike. Like if Brass Knuckles had a
spike
blade.
on the end? Nice.
Yeah, like a spade. So he drops one of those into his hand, and he just leaps at you, Butthole.
And I raise my shield, but simultaneously I'm like, Cool knife, bro.
And as he's in midair, he starts reaching for the top of your shield, like he's going to try and pull himself over and stab you in the eye.
And I chuckle because I'm like, no way.
Your AC, good sir.
My AC
been a
is
while.
20.
Holy shit.
God damn it.
I'm wearing plate mail, baby.
He kind of reaches up to try and get over your shield, but you just raise your shield as he does
Slightly
it.
higher, yeah.
So rather than going over it, he kind of lands full body on it, trying to like stab up and over. But you're basically suspending his weight in the air as he tries to stab at you. Butthole, you're up. You have a man stabbing at you over a shield.
So I want to do like a 2-move. I'm going to try to murder this guy real fast, so maybe the other guy will surrender. I want to take the shield that I'm holding him on, and I want to body slam him to the floor with it. And with the other hand, I want to crush his skull with Moonlight Bringer.
So, I mean, normally no.
Escalated quickly.
But for awesomeness sake, yes.
Yay!
So you're going to roll a strength check, please. He's going to try and oppose you.
My strength check was a 4.
His strength check is also a 4 from a roll 2. So you try and like slam him down. As you sort of come up, he manages to kick off a wall. So you find he's still kind of on the shield.
Well, fine. I'm just going to crush his skull, between the hammer and the shield. I do well with skull crushing.
Go ahead.
20. Not a nat, but a 20 total.
Yes, that will hit.
8 damage. And I say after that, you can stop now and just kneel. Like, take a knee, bro. Like, this is fine. I just wanted to talk.
Dead rats don't kneel, motherfucker.
That's your name? You went with dead rat? Listen, I know we're fighting, but like, dude.
The guy behind him yells, "No, dead rats with an S!" And he fires a crossbow bolt at you. He fails to hit because your armor class is dirty.
And then I look up at him and I'm like, it doesn't matter how you spell it. Rats?
Spelling matters. Speaking of which,
Scholastic gang of Neverwinter.
yeah, they're entirely funded by book orders. All right, Alan,
Violent and
you're up.
educated.
All right. So all of this lecturing by Butthole over the last few weeks about, maybe leaving our prisoners alive so we can interrogate them, it's really taken hold. So I pull out my spider staff. And I'm going to cast web on the other guy who had just pulled out his crossbow bolt.
Great.
So he has to save on a dex saving throw. He succeed on a dex saving throw.
And what's the difficulty there?
14.
So you whip your staff out epically without trying to think too much about the black spider, because fuck that guy.
Yeah.
You kind of reclaim it. You fire off a web in a kind of remarkable, classic Forgotten Realms playwright John Woo style. He kind of like flips sideways as he's reloading his crossbow. You realize that these guys are rather nimble.
Ah, shit.
And he lands and kind of like nods to you with sort of a, really?
Okay, so we just got like a mass of webs.
Yeah, there's a massive
like
webs on the
hanging
table.
out beside him now.
You feel a little bit bad about that, but honestly, the place looks like shit right now, and it's really just more for Fiddlesworth to clean up later. So
This guy is schooling you in 2 different ways. Think about that.
says the
I'm
voice
so-
of Quinny in
Yeah.
your head.
I was
Yeah.
going to say,
That
I'm so
fuel
glad
your
we
next
left
attack.
him somewhere else.
Top of the round, Trench Spike is still up on top of you. He's going to try and stab over the shield. As he does so, because everything's happening concurrently, the Trench Spike gets caught by the web as it flies by and gets ripped out of his hand because he rolled a 1. You feel his suddenly Trench Spikeless hand kind of like slap off your big bald head, but it's not. There's no strength in it. It's just a thing that happens, and he seems a little bit embarrassed by it.
Yeah,
That is how Tyler, would fight.
Yeah, I giggle
Weak
like a
open-handed slaps.
high pitched guttural giggle where this is the funniest fight ever. I'm like, you guys do backflips, but you suck. And then I just yell, Moonhammer! And I try to body slam him to the floor and pin him in place.
All right, strength check, please.
I get a total of 4.
What is going on?
All right, so you try and raise him up. As you do, now that he's got 2 free hands, he grabs a rafter and he attempts a kick at your head. He manages to hit you miraculously.
I don't wear a helmet, so I mean, that's my fault.
You'll take 4 points of damage.
Oh, yeah. And then I yell, smoke it, bitch. What does that mean? I got hit in the head. My head's really spinning right now.
Cool, which brings us to the guy with the crossbow. Now that he's sighted Alan, he's going to fire at you.
Shit.
This is a particularly talented thug, because not only did he roll a 20 on his dodging, he also rolled a 20 to hit. So you are going to take... Jesus Christ. Okay. Alan, you're going to take 10 points of damage from his heavy crossbow.
Okay.
He reaches for bolt to reload. He's kind of doing that, that thing that like villains who are actually good at shooting in action hero movies do, where they like stand in the open and reload, and then John Wick shoots them 9 times. He's doing that thing just before John Wick shoots them 9 times.
He is Barry peppering it right now.
Yes, exactly. Alan, you just got shot squarely in the shoulder with a crossbow bolt.
Okay.
I look back at Alan and I'm like, no more fucking around.
Yeah, no, I'm there already. Don't worry.
And then I just look at Alan and I just say, I love you so much.
I'll run up to this fucker and I'm going to grasp his arm and I'm going to attempt to cast Vampiric Touch
All right.
on him.
Oh, we
so
haven't
he has
seen
to
this shit
save
before.
on this is what I learned when I became a level 5 wizard. It's one of the spells I learned.
Noise.
I like to imagine that that's what Alan's saying as she grabs his arm. Like, this is what I learned when I got better at things. There's no levels in fantasy.
So I haven't done a lot of these, so I have to make a melee spell attack.
Okay.
So that's a total of 22.
22. Yep, that will definitely hit.
Okay.
She grabs him by his throat.
And so he's going to take 4 necrotic damage, and I am going to heal by 2
Oh, okay.
at the same time.
You heal like half damage you deal?
Yeah.
Nice.
You see the flesh on his arm start to kind of turn gray, and it seems like all the blood's draining out of it. And you feel...
You're scaring me.
You laugh like a psychopath.
Yeah, you feel something both horrible and wonderful. It's like your body's just had like a jolt, and suddenly colors are a bit more vivid. Smells are, the place smells terrible, but
So
like,
I'm high.
kind of. And for the briefest moment, your eyes flash red. Rad, which brings us to the top of the round with the now unarmed guy hanging from the rafters. He's going to aim another kick at your head, because why not? He will miss, and then he's going to use his movement to drop in front of you. And he's kind of got his hands up in like a...
So the moment he hits the ground, I'm going to go, burp, 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 and Goblin Jr. is going to tackle his fucking ass, so I have advantage. And then I am going to summon a spectral hammer, and with my own hammer, we are both going to swing at him from both sides. So
Worked really well before.
yeah, I'm done fucking around. Like, Alan's getting hurt. I don't like it. Moonlight Bringer is a 24 total.
Yeah, that'll hit.
And then for the spectral hammer, 19 total.
That will also hit. Yep.
I do 6 damage total.
Okay.
And the spectral hammer does 12 damage radiant.
As is often the case when you swing both hammers at the same time, he's got his hands up like kind of in front of you, so he's able to kind of bat away the first hammer, but in doing so leaves himself wide open to the second one, which squishes his head in half. And he falls
Is he
to the
okay?
ground. No, he's not. He's not. He's really not. He's not great.
And
Dead
I'm
rats
okay.
don't have a great health plan, and it's hard when you're dead. So
I look over to the other dead rat and I point right at him and I say, 2 hammers are better than 1.
no one was arguing that. Okay, which brings us to that guy. Yeah, so he's going to use his free action to drop his crossbow, and he's going to have to use his action to draw his knife. So that's all he's got.
Okay.
And I just look at him and go, points for determination, but man, you're dumb.
I don't have a high intelligence, okay? God. All right, Alan.
I'm going to keep going with the Vampiric Touch. Try to weaken him some more. And he's going to take 10 necrotic damage, and I'm going to heal for 5.
That's awesome.
So the sort of gray nature of his arm starts spreading. His arm starts withering. As you're grasping it, you feel the muscle matter wither away. You can start to almost grasp the bone.
Oh my goodness.
And you feel strong. You feel powerful. You feel damn good. He kind of looks at you with like nervous eyes, but still with a shaking hand brandishing the dagger. Which brings us to Butthole.
All right, I'm just going to try to tackle him. Like, I'm just going to sprint across the room and be like, surrender in the name of Moonhammer. And then just use myself as a giant 240-pound steel-wrapped tackle hammer. A total of, let me double check
is it
this.
4?
I just want to be sure. It is 4.
Kidding me.
So
I can't wait for this word picture to be painted as you come running at it, dude.
Butthole, you come running in as a good old fashioned tackle hammer, and then just right like if we're doing the slow motion run up, like you've got like sort of the glee of battle as you charge. Then all of a sudden, Alan turns and looks at you with this horrible grin, and her eyes are red, and you can see the arm withering in her hand, and it's so horrifying to you that you stumble and miss your tackle.
And then I realize, oh shit, this guy might be better off dead. And I just send the spectral hammer in to finish him as a bonus action. 21 total.
Yep, that'll hit.
12 damage radiant.
Great. As it hits him, like again, keeping with our slow motion, The hammer kind of comes spinning across the room, and he kind of locks eyes with you. And right before it hits him, he says, "Thank you." And then it's cut off as the hammer crosses his jaw, rips it off, and he falls to the ground dead.
Is he okay?
The arm comes off in Alan's hand.
Oh, wow.
Oh, shit.
And I have fallen to the left. If you saw it solely from that guy's perspective, he sees me running towards him and then ooh, gross. And then I shift to the left and the hammer just filled the space and hit him. So I reach out and I take the hammer and then I pretend to put it in my backpack and then it disappears. And then I take my hand out again to show Alan and I'm like, ooh, and I roll my fingers. I'm like, magic.
You suddenly hear several horns, proper burrs that aren't farts for once, butthole.
Don't care for them.
From outside. And all of a sudden, two of the windows burst in. And through the front door comes the biggest, fucking scariest looking paladin you've ever seen. Beside him is a thin wizard who says, "You see, you heard what he said, right?" And the paladin says, "Yes, I heard enough." And he pulls out a huge flaming sword. He points at you and he says, "In the name of the Lord, you are under arrest for crimes against Neverwinter and for starting the cult of the Moon Knights."
All right, so I raise my hands slowly, and I look down at Goblin Jr., and I look at Alan, and I just say, "Run."
This episode of Dum Dums and Dragons features the voices of Ryan LaPlante at the Ryan LaPlante on Twitter, Tyler Hewitt at Tyler_Hewitt on Twitter, Laura Hamstra at EL Hamstring on Twitter, our special guest, and our DM Tom McGee at McGeeTD on Twitter. This episode's sound was edited and mixed by Laura Hamstra, and Dum Dums and Dragons artwork is by Del Borovic, who can be found at delborovic.com. Our theme songs are And Now for That Massive Coronary and Skipping Through the Orchestra Pit Part 1 by Peter Gresser, and our ad music is No Control and Chiefs by Jazzar, JAHZZAR, all available at freemusicarchive.org. When it comes to Dum Dums and Dice, you can visit our website at dumdumdice.com. Our Twitter and Instagram are at dumdumdice, and on Facebook at facebook.com/dumdumdice. But most importantly, we've got merchandise at redbubble.com/people/dumdumdice, or you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/dumdumdice. That's DUMBDUMBDICE. And tune in next week for more Dum Dums and Dragons.
So hey everybody, you may have noticed that our characters received a magical bag full of magic items today that seem to have just pop up out of nowhere. If you want to find out what the backstory on those items were, pop on over to our Patreon campaign, and you can hear some free supplemental content that'll give you just a little hint and a little taste of the kinds of things that are available over there, as well as giving you some valuable background on the magic bag.
And you'll be able to see that no matter what. You don't have to be a subscriber. Just go on over,
Just gotta
check
have
it
the
out.
internet.
Yeah. Which I think you need to get this, though. So I don't think...
That's true.
Yeah, we don't send this podcast by mail yet. But if you subscribe to our Patreon,
We will mail you this one
shoot
word
me a
at a
message
time.
and we'll figure it out.
And
We'll
once that happens, you'll be sponsored by Stamps.com. Stamps.com. Never wait in line at the post office again.
Yeah, use our punch-in code, mail me a podcast. Awesome.